You guys, I am so excited to be here. I know there are speakers who play it very cool. They never say if they're nervous, they never say anything. But I have to tell you, I am so excited and also so nervous to be presenting in front of such a group of smart, amazing peers. It's incredible, and I'm totally thrilled to be here and totally simultaneously energized and terrified that I'm first. So I am first, so hopefully I can either set the bar really high or I could set it really low, and then I know that everyone else who comes on will feel nice and comfortable. So hopefully it'll be pretty good. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about owning your social media. And when I talk to you about owning your social media, immediately you're going to think, as it makes total sense, is you don't own your media, you don't own your content, your fans do. Your fans actually own your brand, right? Your community. And that is absolutely true. But what I want to think about today is about how we are placing all of our content and all of our resources and all of our energy into social networks that inevitably change. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some things that you can do, and I hope you have a lot of fun. So we're going to start. First, I always start with a cute photo. This is me and my mom. And my mom and I, throughout our lives, have disagreed on many things. For instance, we might disagree that she continuously took pictures of me with messy hair and food on my face at all times. We really weren't, if I were to do that, I wouldn't do that. But I supported her decision and posed for the pictures. Similarly, she was not as supportive of the fact that I got married on a baseball stadium in basically a tank top and cargo pants. But, we stuck together. She supported me. She stuck by me, despite, when we have differences of opinion. We stuck together. And really, there's one thing that I found with me and my mom to always be the most truest thing. And that is a true and undying and unstoppable love of Oprah. Yes, Oprah. So Oprah is a genius, and I want to talk to you about how Oprah has really owned her content. So everyone thought Oprah was nuts when she was at the top of her game, and she said, I'm going to start a network because I want greater control over my content. I want greater control over what I say and do. In fact, from 2008 to 2012, Oprah, the OWN network, lost $500,000. They made no money. Everybody told Oprah she was a total idiot. But what Oprah actually did was she focused, and she said, I want to put together the type of content that resonates with my audience. And she practiced, and she tweaked. And she didn't need to be on ABC. She was able to build her own network. So suddenly, all the people who were calling Oprah a dope would say, well, let's see. Oprah Winfrey's OWN is finally profitable. Oprah figures out her message for African American women. Oprah turned OWN around. Oprah's OWN makeover from failure to success. I and my mom believe that in life, much of what you need to do is understand and learn from Oprah. And so I'm going to talk to you today about how you can channel your own little bit of Oprah and actually own some of your content. And I don't mean that you need to own your message. I don't mean that you need to control what your community is saying about you. What I mean is that we're investing and putting all of our content into networks that could go away tomorrow, that could change tomorrow. Do you want proof in how things could change tomorrow? Take a look at Facebook. Let's look at Facebook and what I call Reach-ageddon, which happened at our organic post reach at the end of 2013. First, we're looking at September 2011. The organic post reach was 40%. This was great. This was where we built the world on the concept of community. It was all about if you put great stuff out there, the community will respond, and they'll see it. It'll be great. In September 2012, we saw that drop as advertising started to come into play. As we started to look at that, that was what happened. And then when you look at 2013 of December, we had the very, very eye-opening moment that Facebook had become an ad platform. And I'll show you a sample from Likeable client. If you actually just look at October and November, the thing that you'll look at here is that when we advertised in October, we then got organic reach in November. But that organic reach, that's the section I want you to look at on this area. The organic reach is not truly organic. It's just an overall support of that paid media. It's coming from the boost of paid. And so Facebook became essentially an advertising network. And we know that. And quite honestly, it kind of should in a lot of ways because they want to protect the user experience from Facebook not being about pictures of your friends' babies and instead being about these brands constantly, right? They wanted to protect it. They wanted your organic experience to be organic. They also wanted to make money. These are smart things that networks do. There are a few things that are inevitable in social media in general. Really, the first one is that the networks are going to change. The way you marketed on Facebook last year is not the way you market on Facebook this year. The way you market on Vine this year is not the way you're going to market on Vine next year. And quite honestly, you're going to throw some stuff at the wall on some networks that might not even be there in 2 or 3 years. You know that the networks are going to change. You also know that networks are going to continue to monetize through brands. So you know that they are going to transition to be more advertising-based platforms. And the reason that you know that is that they're never going to charge their user because their user is their product. So you know that you're going to have to evolve. These are all going to evolve for brands to be advertising networks. And as much as we love and celebrate and are a part of community, we need to know that these communities that set up communities of interest are advertising networks for brands. We can still engage, but that's going to continue to happen. And so why, if we know that these networks are changing, why, if we know that these networks may not even be here, why do we not think about and revisit owning our own content? And I'll tell you why. We don't put it on our own sites, because we think there's absolutely no reason for someone to come to our site. The community is spending time on Facebook, on Twitter, on Vine, on Snapchat, on all of these areas. The community is spending time there, and we need to be where the community is spending their time. And that's not wrong. However, if, like Oprah, you invest in making your community and your world a place of value, that they then share out that content to the networks where they are engaging and talking, that's when you're going to really, really win. Because you're going to be able to have the added benefit of people coming to you and then sharing out. Let the community be your message on the social networks. So we're going to talk about ways to own your content today. So I am a big fan of acronyms, and I'm also, since you clearly know, I am somewhat famous for being the baseball bride and getting married on the baseball stadium. I'm really a big fan of putting together acronyms that are somehow tied to baseball. And so I went with ways to own your content. We're going to talk about 3 types today, and we're going to link it to the MLB. Not Major League Baseball, but 3 different types of content and 3 different ways that I thought you could learn about interesting ways people have owned their content and brought traffic back to their site. And so the first one is a micro content hub. The second one is a learning center. And the third is blogs. So blogs went kind of out of favor, right? Because everyone's thinking short-form content, people don't want to read long things. But I'm going to show you a lot of really great examples of what you can do here. And so hopefully you'll learn from that today. Okay, so first we're going to talk about a micro-content hub, and there's a bunch of these that I love, but today I thought I would talk to you a little bit about what Fruit of the Loom has done, because in particular, you don't think of, when you want to go to a place to talk about content, you want to have great content, you don't really think about going to your underwear website, right? Fruit of the Loom is underwear. So we need to think about, they need to get really creative with how they could transition to an owned content-based marketing strategy. And so they launched that leading up to Father's Day. And leading up to Father's Day, they created a Father's Day gift registry. Now, for those of you who are true social media nerds and you're looking at how exactly to pronounce it, it could be a Father's Day GIF registry, but that really doesn't work with it. You got to say Father's Day GIF. I still say GIF. I hope you guys do too. But some people do say GIF, I know. But they did the Father's Day GIF registry where they had, you know how like when you were a kid and you made coupons for your dad, like I promise I'm going to clean my room, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to give you a hug, or I'm going to make dinner or clean up, or any of those things. So they basically did the same thing, but all tied around, dad could stay in his boxers all day, all of these coupons delivered through gifts that you could then share out to your dad. So this did very, very well, and they got a lot of kind of buzz around it as a start, and they actually sold out of the Dadisms, which was the boxer briefs that they worked on, the Dadism briefs, way before Father's Day. So it went really well in terms of a return for them and brought people there on buzz, but what they then actually did was use that to create and craft a message that resonated with their audience, that you don't just go to Fruit of the Loom because you want to buy your underwear. You actually go there because it's the place where you start happy. So they took a lot of these concepts, a lot of different things around this. So the gifts and a lot of different things, music to your panties, all of these different kinds of concepts, and they created an entire content hub for Fruit of the Loom. Because they started with an interesting sort of campaign, they were able to take that theme, saw what resonated, and then built a content hub on their site around starting your day happy. And so that was something that was very interesting. Another content hub that I love that I originally put in the presentation but took out was Snickers. Snickers does a great job of this. On their website, they not only show all of the content that they put out, but they then pull in all of the user-generated content, and you can kind of sift through it. It provides an entertainment space as a whole. So that's a micro-content hub. Now I'd like to talk to you about a learning center. So let's look at Health Catalyst. Health Catalyst is a data mining firm for healthcare. And so they have all this data, and it's not the kind of data that we can put in short, cutesy, underwear-like Fruit of the Loom concepts. So what they did was they decided to focus all of their efforts on content marketing on their site and put together information that was valuable to each and every person who would be interested in healthcare data. So they did it in long form and short form, webinars, podcasts, all different kinds of different pieces. They did a Q&A form, etc. And then they created a little space where you could favorite your content. Well, not only did this work for them, this content marketing strategy, but they found that it was being shared socially. It increased their traffic to their site by over 700%, and it put them on the map socially. Because what happened was when they would come in, users would come in to digest this is where they would be sharing it. So they would be sharing it out on LinkedIn, etc. You can see all their stuff here. Pretty great stuff. They have a Q&A section, then product demos, obviously linked back to product, which is great. Let's talk about one of my favorite clients in the whole world, Century 21. So Century 21 has always done great stuff in social, and Century 21 decided that they really need to have the stake in the ground as the #1 most trafficked website in real estate. Most trafficked website in real estate. And so it was very important that we take all of that cool social stuff and bring it back and convert it to traffic on their site. And so they had a blog that was pretty good. But what we wanted to do was take their blog and really make it a lot more interesting so that it would be shared out a lot more socially and be brought back. Now, one of the strategies that we could take with Century 21 is to take real estate stuff and sponsor BuzzFeed posts, right? We could do that all day long and they'd get a ton of impressions, but it might not drive traffic back. And so what we decided to do was actually do this on their own site. So around The Walking Dead, for instance, we would do 5 zombie-proof houses your family won't be caught dead in. We would do all different kinds of things like that, all from the Century 21 site itself, which was a pretty risky move. It's much easier to put this stuff out on the huge networks or the huge publishing platforms, but it worked, and it worked so well. They're up 42% in their overall site traffic year to year. And it's because of that type of content, because they're testing what resonates. They're even testing socially what resonates, then bringing it back to the blog so they know what to talk about and when. Liberty Mutual does a great job. I mean, insurance is kind of hard to talk about. So they put together a blog called The Torch. And what they actually did with this that I loved, because Liberty Mutual does an amazing job in social, but what they actually found was that they were able to reduce costs by using their blog. And the way that they do that is they use the blog as a content hub. They search for things online that people want to talk about around insurance and that their customers want to talk about around insurance. They then write a blog about it, and then they create all of their micro content based off of that blog. So not only does this blog prove effective for them in SEO usage, not only does this blog prove effective for them in terms of driving traffic, but it also acts as a way to organize their content. And that's why that blog's won a ton of awards and done a lot of great stuff. It so nicely links to all of the content that they put out. Okay, so ways to apply big thinking to small business. You don't have to be a huge business to do this. I know a lot of these are really small, larger businesses, but you can do this for a small business. So let's look at Wise Matchmaking. Wise Matchmaking, who is a friend of mine, she doesn't have any dollars to put against her social. So can she create all of these things for Facebook, for Twitter, for Instagram, and do this all on the go? No, because she's a small business owner. And she doesn't have a massive amount of time either. So when you don't have money and you don't have time, she had to choose to invest in one thing. And what she chose to invest in was her blog, despite the fact that everyone is shifting to a network-based strategy. When she did that, she then promoted that blog around things that resonated with single people, like Cindy, the personal trainer that pushes you and you're very anxious when you're getting ready to go out on your date. These types of things were funny and they resonated and were really great. And then what happened was she didn't even need to share it socially as Wise Matchmaking. She didn't even need to do that, because the community and the single people who are reading this are identifying with it and sharing it for her. They're sharing it for her. So we know that owned content does not just live on the owned site. So when we put out content, the idea is not that we want to control a message. The idea is that we want to give our community something to talk about. And if we create content that is on our site, and it's something that's valuable, and we seed that to our community, it will be shared. So if you're looking at, here's around the gifts, here's around all of the Father's Day gift vouchers shared, all of this stuff comes right out, all of the different pieces of content that as you create it on your own site, it's shared above and beyond by the community. It's not that you can't share your message. You can and you should share your social message on social networks. But what I want you to think about is, are you giving your community fodder to share that message? Are we giving your community fodder to share that message? And if you are able to do that by investing in and taking the time to do this on your own site, you will see far, far greater rewards. So I want to end for you, before we open it up for questions, with the Oprah quote of the century for me. Of course, I always have to bring it back to Oprah. What I know for sure is that what you give comes back to you. At the end of the day, wherever you're putting your content, whatever content you create, whatever work you put out there, you have to make sure that it adds value to your community and to your audience. You're not just there because your competitors are there. You're not just there because you need to find something to say. You need to be there because you want to add value. And that value doesn't have to always be in education, like Health Catalyst. It doesn't always have to be in laughter, like Fruit of the Loom and Father's Day gifts. It just needs to be what resonates with your audience the best. Thank you.